Was he mad? Or a misunderstood genius? A frustrated artist? Or a tyrant who burned his empire to build a fantasy? Rome didn't burn alone. The truth burned with it. Rome is on fire. On July 18th, 64 AD, a spark ignites in the Circus Maximus. It turns into an uncontrollable beast. The flames rage through the city's oldest neighborhoods, devouring temples, storehouses, and homes. For 9 days, the heart of the empire is consumed by smoke, screams, and ash. But Nero is not in Rome. He's at his coastal villa in Antium, more than 50 kilometers away. Upon hearing the news, he rushes back, according to Tacitus, and organizes shelters, distributes food, opens his imperial gardens to the victims. But rumors travel faster than fire. They say he started it. That he played the lyre while Rome burned. That he recited verses about the fall of Troy. As if he were the director of a tragedy, and Rome his stage. There's no solid proof. Nero was far from the city when it all began, but he did benefit. Shortly after the disaster, he ordered the construction of his ultimate dream. The Domus Aurea, a colossal palace of marble, artificial lakes, lush gardens, and a giant statue of himself, depicted as a god. To many, that was no coincidence, and when Rome demanded justice, Nero needed someone to blame. He found them in a small, strange sect that refused to worship the Roman gods, the Christians. The persecution was merciless. They were crucified, covered in pitch, set ablaze as living torches, illuminating Nero's gardens in horror. Even Tacitus, who disliked them, admitted the punishment was so cruel, it stirred compassion. Nero may not have started the fire, but he ignited something even more dangerous: fear, hatred, and propaganda. Yet long before the flames, another fire was burning: his mother's ambition. Agrippina the Younger was a formidable figure, a direct descendant of Augustus, niece and later wife of Emperor Claudius, mother of the boy she would turn into an emperor. To put him on the throne, she poisoned her husband, according to Tacitus and Suetonius. That night, Claudius reportedly ate mushrooms, the food of the gods and the dish of the dead, wrote Suetonius. Lucius Domitius Nero, still a teenager, was adopted by imperial decree. At just 16, he became emperor. But the real power belonged to Agrippina. She appeared on coins beside her son, presided over Senate meetings from behind a curtain, welcomed foreign ambassadors in his name. To some, she was a brilliant strategist. To others, a new Medea. But shared power never lasts. Nero began listening more to Seneca and Burrus, and less to her. And when he fell in love with Poppaea Sabina, who despised Agrippina, his mother became a threat. He tried to kill her using a sabotaged boat. She swam to shore and survived. So Nero gave the final order. She was murdered. Her last words, legend says, "Strike the womb. That's where I bore that monster." She had been the mother of an emperor and the martyr of her own creation. But Nero didn't just want to rule. He wanted to shine, to be an artist. He played the lyre, sang, performed. Not in private, but in grand, compulsory performances. Senators were forced to applaud, or risk being charged with treason. Even looking bored could be fatal. During his tour of Greece, he competed in the Olympic Games and won. Not because of skill, but because he was emperor. At his banquets, he would sing for hours, while guests faked smiles and clapped politely, terrified of the consequences. The empire was falling apart. But Nero kept performing. It was his stage and his escape. Eventually, all limits vanished. Poppaea Sabina died, killed by Nero himself after a brutal kick while she was pregnant. Later, he married a young boy named Sporus. He had him castrated, dressed him like Poppaea, and called him my wife. His whims escalated. Executions without trial, cruel orgies, grotesque spectacles. The Senate despised him. The people feared him. The empire was no longer a stage. It had become a golden ruin. By 68 AD, everything collapsed. The army abandoned him. The provinces rebelled. The Senate declared him a public enemy. Nero fled, hid in the villa of a freedman. He tried to take his own life, but couldn't. It was his secretary, Epaphroditus, who helped him finish it. His final words, "What an artist dies in me." The man who longed to be divine died as a fugitive, stripped of power, stripped of honor. But his story didn't end there. For centuries, many believed Nero had never truly died, that he would return like an antichrist, to rebuild his empire of fire. His image was demonized, romanticized, twisted. Was he a monster, or a victim of his time and the pens of his enemies? One thing is certain. He didn't just burn Rome. He burned the line between art and tyranny, between spectacle and horror, between absolute power and madness. And in those flames, history keeps burning.